the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs! Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiasts.
Oh, Mr. Krabs!
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that?
The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? Yeah! That's a mega win!
Hello? King Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow! Sponge pot!
Woman in ice cream, fantastic.
NTV ku ssaawa emu okulikayo mu kuwummulamu era ketugendere ddala mu maaso. Waliwo eddiini mu Uganda emanyiddwako ekitono ennyo so ng'ebaddewo okuva mu mwaka gwa 1993. Enzikiriza eno eya Legion Maria for Africa Church Mission era nga yeefaananyirizaako n'ey'Abakatoliki kwe yeewaggula. Eno abagoberezi bakkiririza mu Yezu omuddugavu ko ne nnyina Maria naye nga muddugavu. Omusasi waffe Gertrude Tumusiime Witwale leero asabidde mutongo ku kitebe ky'enzikiriza eno mu Uganda era alina ebisingawo ku mboozi ennyuvu okulala.
Bw'ogenda bulyambwa naawe ofuuka mulyambwa nange bwe ntyo olwatuuse ku ssinzizo lya Legion Maria e Mutungo engatto nazirese bweru ssaako okwebikirira nfaananeko nga bo. Mu kereziya yaabwe abakyala n'abaami batuula ku njuyi ezaawukana era buli ayingira atuula wansi. Abagoberezi bambala makanzu, abakyala ne bambalira ddala ng'ababiikira Abakatoliki. Mu kusinza tewaba kuba ngalo wadde engoma okuggyako okuyimba. Ensinza yaabwe teyawukanako nnyo n'ey'Abakatoliki. Eddiini eno yatandikira mu maserengeta ga Kenya mu bitundu bya Migori mu Bajaluwo mu mwaka gwa 1961 abakkiriza abaali Abakatoliki bwe beewaggula nga bakulembeddwamu Baba Mesiya omusajja omuddugavu eyali omusomesa gwe bakkiriza nga Yesu Kristo eyajjira mu kifaananyi eky'omuddugavu.
He is Jesus Christ, whom we refer to as Baba Messiah. He has so many names. He's called Emmanuel, he's called Odeto in Kenya there. The practice was not accepted by the white priest. They were told to start their own church.
Ekiwayi kino ekyawandiisibwa mu mwaka gwa 1966 ng'eddiini e Kenya kati kibunye mu mawanga ga Africa 5 omuli ne Uganda. Baba Mesiya ono ayogerwako ng'omusajja eyalabika ng'alina emyaka 6 era nti yalondebwa bulondebwa. Akulira eddiini eno mu Uganda atunyumiriza nti Baba Mesiya mu buto bwe yakola nnyo ebyewuunyo.
He created out of clay a bird, and when he blew air on it, it flew.
Bakkiriza nti waaliyo omukyala omuddugavu gwe bayita Mama Maria eyali amwesoose ng'amwogerako.
He was telling them the incarnation of the Son of God in form of a black man.
Mama Maria yafa eyo mu gyenkaaga ate nga ye Baba Mesiya yafa mu mwaka gwa 1991. Mu ssinzizo lyabwe ebifaananyi ebibiri ekya Yezu ne nnyina Maria abaddugavu bye bimu ku by'otayinza kubuusa maaso. Bino biweebwa ekitiibwa eky'enkomeredde yadde nga n'ebya Yezu ne Maria abeeru weebiri.
There is no white Jesus, there is no black Jesus. We cannot believe that because the first coming he came like a white man, therefore Jesus is white or God is white. That is wrong perception.
Emisa eyimbibwa mu Lulatini era bakozesa nnyo olulimi Olujaluwo, Oluswayiri ate n'Oluzungu ku nnaku ezimu. kino kye bakola buli lwa ssabbiiti oluvannyuma lw'okusaba bajja ne bafuna amazzi ag'omukisa n'okusabirwa abantu abo abalondeddwamu okusabira bannaabwe. Era mu kusaba kuno mubaamu okulagulwa. Mu nzikiriza y'ekikatoliki waliyo ekibiina ekitibwa eggye lya Mariya era nga muno eddiini eno mwe yasibuka. Wanera balinawo ennyumba ya Bikira Mariya kyokka Mariya ne Yezu abaddugavu be bali ku mwanjo. Newankubadde nga bano balina bingi bye bafaanaganya n'abakatoliki, bo tebakkiriza mu paapa w'e Vatican. Balina paapa waabwe omuddugavu e Kenya. Balina obulombolombo bwe bagoberera.
We don't eat goat's meat. We don't eat pork.
Ebyokukwata mu ngalo nga babuuzaganya nabyo tebabikola. Ssaabasumba waabwe avumiridde abayita eddiini yaabwe ekidiinidiini. Gertrude Tumusiime Witware, NTV.
Yoyo Yesu omuddugavu ne maama we Mariya nga naye muddugavu. Nga tuvuddeyo eyo bo abakristaayo mu bulabirizi bwa Westankole bajeemedde omusumba waabwe Reverend Bishop Yona Katonene. Ekiwayi ky'abakristaayo kiwakanya Bishop Katonene wamu n'obulabirizi bwa Westankole okutondawo amatabi mu bitundu ebirala g'ettendekero lya Nkole Western Institute of Science and Technology nga terinafuulwa University. Abakristaayo baatuuse n'okukwatira omusumba waabwe amayinja ne bamugaana okuyingira kkanisa.
Ettendekero lya Nkole Western Institute of Science and Technology erisangibwa e Kabohe mu disitulikiti y'e Shema lyaweebwa layisinsi mu mwaka gwa 2009 ey'ekiseera okutandika okwetegeka litongozebwe nga University. Wabula layisinsi eno neggwako mu mwaka gwa 2012. Omulabirizi Yona Katonene wamu n'olukiiko lwa bulabirizi lwa Westankole bakkanya nti batondewo amatabi g'ettendekero lino abamu ku bakristaayo kye basimbidde ekkuuli.
I am certainly opposed to the premature setting up of branches from the project.
Garand Shema development, since I was born, I found it was a tug of war.
But the organs of the church are sitting and say, no, we must have the branch.
Obutakkaanya buno buleetedde abamu ku bakristaayo okukunga abantu baleme kugenda mu kkanisa.
I don't see anything criminal with me not going to church when I don't want to go to church.
Kigambibwa nti abamu ku bakristaayo gye buvuddeko baanyakula ebirabo mu kkanisa ne bakuulita nabyo era kigambibwa nti omusumba bamukasukira n'amayinja.
Even during offertories and Sunday services, Christians tend to, to grab man and run away with it.
Those who are doing that kind of a thing are stealing. It's actually criminal.
The Anglican community went and mobilized members of the community to throw stones at the bishop.
Musajja wa Katonda ono Yona Katonene kati akumibwa poliisi okuziyiza abantu abayinza okumutuusaako obulabe. Wabula yawe ez'okugenda mu maaso n'enteekateeka ze ez'okulaakulanya ekitundu ky'akulembera.
We believe it is God that protects us and we are not fearing so much for our lives. We have to continue doing our work.
And we are still insisting that until accountability is given for monies that we voluntarily give to the church.
Waliwo okutya nti omuze gw'okujamira bannaddiini gugenda gweyongera mu bitundu bya Nkole ne Kigezi ekintu eky'obulabe eri omugigi omuto. Kinajjukira nti mu mwaka gwa 2021 abakristaayo mu busumba bw'e Muhabura Ekisoro bawakanya okulondebwa kwa Reverend Canon David Sebuhinja okudda mu bigere bya Bishop Sharita. Abakristaayo baatuuka n'okutega omusumba Sharita empiso mu ntebe ye. Obusumba bwamala emyaka 5 nga tebulina musumba okutuusa Ssaabalabirizi Luuko Rombi Lweyesitula n'abasumba 13 mu mwaka gwa 2006 ne boolekera Kisoro okubatabaganya. Enkaayana ze zimu zaabalokawo mu bulabirizi bw'Ekigezi wano Juzi nga abakristaayo beeyawuddemu ku ani anadda mu bigere by'omulabirizi George Katwesigye.
Kibi nnyo ate enkaayana ezifaananyikanako bwe zityo okuyingira mu masinzizo ate nga tuvudde bwa musaayi muto abalina ebitone ebyenjawulo naye nga bava mu maka getesobola bulungi mu byenfuna n'okutumbula ebitone byabwe. Abasoba mu mitwalo 5 babanguddwa mu kutumbula ebitone. Ebitongole bibadde bibabangula kati bakwasiza gavumenti ya Uganda okwongera okubayamba mu kukulaakulanya ebitone byabwe. Bino basobole ate okuvaamu abantu ab'omugaso mu biseera byabwe eby'omu maaso.
Bano be bamu ku bamusaayi muto abasunsulwa mu bannaabwe nga balina ebitone ebyenjawulo era nga beetaaga okuyambibwa okubikulaakulanya. Catherine Lomete ava mu disitulikiti ya Napark mu bitundu by'e Karamoja ali mu siniya ey'okuna yali talina ssuubi lyonna lyakweyongerayo mu misomo gye wabula ekitone kye eky'okudduka emisinde kye kyamweyimirira.
I was given a scholarship for 4 years and by now I'm in senior 4.
Innocent Odong naye ekyokuba muzibe tekyamulobera kweyongerayo mu misomo gye. Ono agamba nti abaana abalala bonna abazaalibwa nga ba muzibe balina okuweebwa omukisa okusigala mu masomero nga bannaabwe abazaalibwa nga tebalinaako bulemu.
I want all the blind which is not there in the school come to school and come and continue with her study, even like me.
Emizannyo ng'omweso okubuuka n'okuzannya omupiira giyamba nnyo abaana ab'ekika kino okubateekateeka mu by'obwongo ne basobola okukola obulungi mu kibiina. Wabula nga babadde balabira abaana bano babazizzayo mu mikono gya gavumenti ya Uganda okwongera okubabudaabuda n'okulaakulanya ebitone byabwe waliwo obweraliikirivu obanga ddala gavumenti ya kuno enaatukiza bulungi obuvunaanyizibwa buno.
We are prepared enough to take on the program as government. We have already set aside 2 billion Uganda shillings to start establishing Teriet High Altitude Training Center.
Abakulidde omulimu gw'okubudaabuda n'okubangula abaana bano abatalina mwasirizi bagamba nti omulimu guno gwe baatandika mu mwaka ogw'2011 wano mu Uganda baagutandika nga gulina okuggwa mu kiseera kino.
Even those who are learning or seem to be learning and reading and writing may not have developed competences required for doing the job.
Where is the disconnect?
A number of things. First of all, the curriculum, the curriculum development has a lot lacking. And even the adjustments that come in at a time when we put them in a short-sighted way and we are interested only in the learners. We forget that we are supposed to have the teacher. When you put a curriculum at the primary level, in fact it should have been introduced 2 years before at the teacher training level.
So when that you put this teachers who come out,
yes, are able to deliver, and then you retour. Because when these teachers come in and they have been tutored on this curriculum, they are able to support the teachers they find in school, and then even those who come
kind of like peer,
absolutely,
peer development.
And then you leave the universities and say, these universities, you forget that they also produce teachers. And quite often the employers say, for me I want a teacher who is a graduate. That's what the ministry has been doing for the last, I think, 6 years. If there was any little recruitment, it was done on the fresh graduates.
Not those who are coming out of teacher training college.
Me, I started with a diploma, Simon. When I came to Ntale, I had finished my degree. You see? But now, a teacher with a diploma will not be employed. They say want one with a degree. If I had not come to Ntale at that time with my degree, and with the experience I had gained, I don't think you would have done much better with me than somebody who's freshly coming from the university.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm not saying they're not competent enough. They are. But I have that hidden experience which you have not recognized. Then there comes in all those frustrations. That is why quite often many good teachers either fall out, and when they are promoted, they don't have a chance to keep in class. And for us, we are advising many other things which have not been implemented. For example, we said there should be a scheme of service. A scheme of service is where if I had a diploma and I went and got a degree, then upgrade me. If I have taught for the last 20 years, you remember Michael Vehena at the time?
Yes.
If I have taught for the last 20 years, why should I remain at the starting scale and somebody coming in now begins at a certain level?
Higher than you.
Higher than me.
There are a lot of disparities with regard to...
There are a lot of disparities which we think are not necessarily monetized in terms of money. We are not interested in the money per se. Yes, money is good. It's a good incentive. But it's a better incentive to recognize me in the first place. I got a medal. You see? That medal is not necessarily money. But I'm really so...
proud about it.
Absolutely.
And you are motivated and you feel a bit...
yes, at least...
You've added a bounce in your step.
I have harangued to public and people have listened and they say, at least he has made a point.
Let's look at this report once again. This report seems to create a very huge gap between rural schools and the so-called urban schools in Kampala. What kind of citizenry are we making? Aren't we already creating some form of appetite for the future? And that's why we have a lot of rural-urban migration, so that people can seek for the little opportunities that are in the urban centers. So when we look at 10 years from today, what kind of people are we creating? Are we creating a society where there is a clear divide between people who were brought up and educated in urban centers and those who are not fortunate enough to leave the villages?
It's a terrible one, but look at it from this perspective also. How much investments are put in these urban and rural? Two, I don't want to say that all urban schools are doing well. We have the urban poor. So when you hear a certain number of children have passed in the urban centers, and you imagine
look at who owns these schools and what kind of people go in there, whose children go in there.
It depends on the investment they put there. Go to some of these primary schools.
But tell me, what incentive do you think there will be for these big men and women in Ministry of Education, whose children, for the unfortunate ones, go to Green Hill and the other lucky ones go to St. Andrew's Turi in Kenya? What incentive do such people have to elevate the level of studying of other schools where ordinary Ugandan students go to?
Of course, the incentive they should have had is the professionalism and the ethics that are required for the job, some of which they lack, certainly. But not all of them. There could be one or two who could have that. But certainly they are overpowered by those who are privileged to have their children in these centers. But leave that alone. I want us to look at the future of this country. We should not look at simply today, tomorrow, or the next day. We should look at the future of this country. Are we bound to lose the whole generation? And Simon, their children, even at that time, when, after going through all this other primary school cycle, can still become better citizens. And that's where the fun comes in. What skills are we targeting? Let me give you a quick example. We used to have gardening in schools. We used to have children who would do handwork. Now, all those,
and crafts.
Yes,
and all
the crafts.
All those are not there anymore.
And of course, let me tell you, there are so many craft shops here. Who are these children doing them? There are people who learn them either from home or school. And they are earning, you see. Subsequently, things will change, tables will turn. But we shall have a lot of loss. And if there wasn't any high-level corruption, then perhaps there would be a clear realization. Let me tell you, most of these people you see didn't go to these urban schools. But I went to Katakwi Primary, Honorable Minister.
Absolutely.
Me, I went to school in Rukunjini, in the primary school. You, Simon, you know where you went. There are others who went to Shimon. Shimon when it was here. And by the way, let me tell you, Shimon was government land. And it was sold off to an investor.
And demonstrations. The story of Shimoni, we'll discuss it till the cows come home. But I guess as we conclude right now, Mr. Twehe,
don't have a home.
So, no, as we conclude here, Mr. Twehe, maybe we just need to break down what is literacy and numerical skills. Maybe some of our viewers may not understand what this jargon is all about. What does this report simply mean?
Literacy is the ability to read and to read simple language.
In other words, someone is at P7 and they are unable to read a simple sentence.
Somebody at P7 is unable to read a sentence of this nature, you know. My father is Babu.
They are
My father is Babu.
Numeracy are skills?
Numeracy are simple calculations.
They are unable to say 2 times 5
These
is 10.
are how many fingers?
5.
Count them. How many cups are these? 2.
Now, if your child is unable to perform some of these basic readings and comprehensions of figures, then clearly they are the quintessential example of the people that we are talking about in this Uwezo report. Let's take a short break. When we return, it's Simon Says. I'll tell you something, folks. When I see such reports coming up, I always dismiss them and say this is the usual NGO jargon, people trying to present doomsday findings so they can appeal to the donors to give them more money so they can pound powerful cars across the streets of Kampala and build wonderful houses. But for me, when I brought down and looked at this Uwezo report and consulted a number of stakeholders, including and not limited to the guest I had this morning on this show, I realized that indeed what seems to be a doomsday report in my earlier thinking is actually a reality that has befallen this country. And the earlier we look into finding remedies for this kind of bad reality, then shall we be able to think that this country is moving a step forward. And that begs the question, indeed, like we discussed earlier on in the show, that we've got a planning department in the whole of Ministry of Education. We've got the Inspectorate of Schools. We've got all these structures led by big men and women who are living off government coffers and everything like that, charged with the responsibility of ensuring that things are right in the education sector. I would want to ask, what do you people do when you wake up in the morning and say you're leaving home, but you're the commissioner in charge of planning, Minister of Education? At the end of the day, such a report comes out and you've been in this position for 15 years. Don't you stop to ask yourself what it is that you've been able to do in those 15 years? Isn't that a case of quintessential incompetence that you should be ashamed of as an individual? And then, of course, you'll pardon my rantings this morning. And then at the end of the day, we subject these children to primary leaving examinations, end of secondary school examinations, mounted over by a gentleman who is asking to have his term renewed when it has already been renewed at 75 years of age. All this seems to ask one question. Does this country really take pride in ensuring that things work rightly, more so in fundamental sectors like the education sector? I don't have answers to these questions. Perhaps you do. Share them with us and have a good morning.
My name is Cuts, aka Mr. Showbiz.
When I'm in Uganda, I only listen to DJ Baby Love.
When you're dancing on the light, girl walk out, your body down no fly, your fingernail them no fear fly.
You have a problem with it?
No, I ain't got no problem.
You don't use my mic, man. This is exposed mic.
I go deal with you personally. XFB, it's officially back. Yeah, I'm in this heaty with cats. It's what we do, baby, put UG on the map. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Hey.
Tadi Muganda yagala munne kututumuka abanyankole mweyagalidde mu Kampala abajja okulonda mwafuna mu bibanja mu Uganda
I'm that dude, so they come and love it.
You're going to start paying for watching Exposed.
I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't right.
Are you and I ever gonna have a chance to be sisters?
You want the baby to have my name?
Would that be okay?
So I'm happy you came. Yes, especially since I thought you were shunning all things Newman. I have my own reasons for showing up.
What did you say about him?
I'm sorry, attempted rape.
Okay, look, whatever you think you know about him, you don't know his heart.
If there is a way to make me feel more miserable, you will instinctively find it.
You gave up the one woman you loved, and now you're having a hard time figuring out how to move on?
I can't imagine who would want to hurt a good man like you.
Okay, you know what? I don't need you telling me how to feel about Lily.
Are you pregnant? No. Then why are you trying to alienate Tyler?
Has something happened between the two of you? Are you afraid that I'm gonna do something to ruin your marriage, or that you will?
Why don't we have a party? I'll bring Nikki and bring your siblings. How's that?
Now, what are you gonna do? You gonna blackmail them this time, or are you gonna bribe them?
Looks like Mommy's not the only one who knows how to make up a story.
Mikwano gyaffe bana NTV ate naddala mu bannaamu omuli gw'emizannyo omuli gw'ebyemizannyo gukomyewo 2014 ate mutya kati ate gukyusiza n'obudde gwa 7 gwali gwa 9 ne gugoberera ntusanyuka kati gubongereddeko wano malya g'ebyemisana awo gusooke gubatayize gubaleetere buli kintu kyonna kalonda erinawo byemizannyo omuli gw'ebyemizannyo omupya 2014 Isima waali alagira Argentina yenjo mukubira eddiba lye omukwano gujja kukomawo ku muli gw'emizannyo naye kasita kinatuuka eri bano ba Messi okulumba abalenzi baffe ba Thiago Silva awo tewali mukwano omuli gw'ebyemizannyo 2014 President.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also Never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
News Night with Andrew Mwenda.
Oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa ab'ekika era bulala basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagenda mu Lukoola eyo nakasongola mu Buluuri twagenda mu Butale Babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde palamenti muyise bosi basajja
omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo
tobeera mu ssuuti ate n'oteeka mu gganduula
olina kubeerako kimu
kubanga okusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina nakulabira abaganda baagala kabaka
Mr. Krabs, are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs, isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How did he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up.
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? Yeah. That's a mega win.
Hello? King Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow! SpongeBob!
Fantastic.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli Lwakuna butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
So it's 14 after 8 o'clock and it's still pounding hard at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. Before the break, we had Simon Kasiate with James Twehe, who's the General Secretary of UNATU. And yes, you can see the rain just behind me. It's really heavy. So if you're getting into town, you might carry a jacket or an umbrella, or probably stay at home if you're under a mango tree and you have mobile TV
you might be watching us right now. But thank you so much for joining us. You can also stream this show live on YouTube, youtube.com/NTV-Uganda/live. And we're looking at the damning report from UWEZO. Very, very, staggering statistics that really make our education system look like a joke. So we asked you the question, what do you think about this and how should we clean it up? And a couple of you have taken to Twitter to say some things. But before we go there, I'd like to mention a few things that James talked about. One, even those that are leaving may not have developed, those that are learning may not have developed the competences for the jobs. Politicians won't fix our education system because they're looking at the next election. And 1 out of every 10 teachers in the 3 East African countries is absent from school on any given day. And whereas the situation is there in Tanzania and Kenya, Uganda fares worse. And those are some of the things. Of course, our curriculum is something that we need to look at. Engineer Michael says, indeed, that was a long-awaited report. Our education system is a failure, and I was personally fed up. Nargis Shirazi saying, they are not moving with the times. The era is evolving, and so must education. No offense, but even in Tanzania, where Swahili is widely spoken, Uganda. Get real. Alan Senyonga, who is in Rwanda, Kigali, and watching this show live, says, we not only treat our teachers badly by paying them low wages, we also attract poor performers to the profession. It's a vicious cycle. And we've seen some students challenge teachers who literally do not know what they're talking about. Of course, continue this conversation on our Twitter handle at NTV Uganda, but also at Morning at NTV. You can hashtag Morning at NTV too. Mabel will be coming with your Facebook comments, but for now, birthday is Mabel, who is born today.
A picture of him here. He is the brother to Alec Baldwin. He has acted in a couple of movies like Usual Suspects, but he's also known for his Christian beliefs. He's very open that he's a Christian and has been part of lots of movements in the United States. Also born this day is a Kenyan cricketer, Thomas Odoyo. And a picture of him here. Thomas Odoyo turns 36 this year. He's one of Kenya's most valuable assets, having broken into the scene in the 1996 World Cup. He has been able to achieve over 50 wickets and 1,000 runs. Now on to some of your messages this morning on Facebook, especially regarding the topic that we're talking about earlier. We have Robert saying that teachers are not motivated, making to go and do other things. At the end of the day, a student is missing a lot. And someone says, Katerega Colin says, due to less payment, I think that's why the teachers are the way they are. Though Kim Mulondo says that's now normal, I think. And Kevis Katende saying the money is not enough. To some other picture messages here that we have, I must say this one, Emmanuel Nkuruziza says, good morning, morning at NTV. We love you so much and thank you for servicing the world. Keep winning and coming over the world. We are watching you here in United Arab Emirates. Now, I couldn't quite enlarge this picture, but if you see it, this is the Morning at NTV logo on some building, and I'm like, is this for real or is this photoshopped? And I think I need to find out the power of advertising, really, how big, I don't know which country it is. The person says it is in UAE, and that's where they are watching us from live. I think I need to go to UAE so that I can actually see this. Very interesting there. Walker Ronnie saying here that Banange, this morning rains, government etuyambe. It has been raining quite a lot. Colin says, once upon a time in Uganda, teaching was a well-paying, noble job. Presently, teachers are, to whom it may concern, business. Yet to teach is to positively touch lives forever. How are teachers expected to inspire the learners when the government treats them as if they are expired? And Kabanza Isaac sending greetings here birthday greetings to Becky Wamara, Namanya Ambrose, Kenny Johnny, and Aino Mugisha Alan. May they all grow to blow more than 1 million candles. And Saddam saying he loves the argument. Continue discussing the Kasese floods. It's quite sad what is happening there. And Julius is wondering, asking actually, I thought that there's a minister responsible for the Karamoja region. How did this happen when the First Lady is in place? Sincerely, the Karamoja ministry should be scrapped. And thank you all for sending in your opinions. We love to hear from you. Do keep them coming. Time now for everyday life, and here is Brian.
Well, thank you so much, Mabel. Now, a change of surroundings can do wonders, especially if you've been stuck in the office for more than 6 months, you're frustrated, the ideas are not coming. Maybe it is time for your company to do a little something, something. Most of us call it retreat, but some people who do it professionally have chosen to call it team building. Is it a pro or a con? Is it a necessary evil for corporate companies? What does it add to the value and the motivation of your employees? Coming up on Everyday Life. Good morning. Well, joining me this morning is Steve Namanya.
Hey, Brian.
And Emma.
Edward
Opio.
Yes.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very good.
Are you used to waking up this early?
Yeah. Sure. By 4 a.m. I'm up.
4 a.m.?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
I'm up by 5.
All right.
On a daily. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'll start with you, Steve.
Yeah.
This whole team building for us as workers, we see it as a time to literally party.
All right.
And we are like, thank God we are out of this environment.
Yeah.
What would you define for example, someone who does not know it, or a boss who needs to do it for their company?
All right. Basically, you can define team building as a system or process whereby individuals are brought together in cohesive groups to work to accomplish something, and they work interdependently and cohesively. It's whereby people come together as a team to accomplish a specific and particular goal.
But we do that on tasks every day.
Well,
they give us a task and say, okay, you must work together, all of you.
It's one thing to say we must work together, but it's also another thing for the members in that organization or team to know that they have to work together. Because Brian, I can tell you that you must do this assignment, for example, with Eddie, and it's like a duty. But it's also another thing to know that it's from within me that I know that I can accomplish best this particular assignment if I work with someone, for example, Eddie.
When we are applying for jobs, it's one of the things that we always say, I work well with the team.
Yeah.
So why do I need to learn even the principles of team building? It's part of my resume. I'm there, I'm like, yeah, I work and I don't need pressure to work, but I'm a very good team, player.
Those days, you'd have one single professional, a smart professional, very talented at what he does. Survive or carry the organization through. Today, the marketplace is fast changing, Brian. It changes every day.
Yeah.
To the extent that one single individual, however talented he or she is, you can no longer carry the organization. So you need team play. That's why team play is very essential. Any team being built, whether it's a sports team or the corporate team at the workplace, basically goes through 4 important stages. There is the orientation stage. The individuals in the team get to know each other, or the parties involved. The second stage is called norming.
Norming?
Yes.
Explain that.
There I get to know that, you know what, this is how Brian is. I get to know a little bit about you. Okay? I'm trying to understand you better. And that will facilitate the way I work with you later. There is forming. Forming, we settle in. I know that, you know what, these are the lines I cannot cross with Brian. Now, once I know where your limits are, once I have understood and appreciated how you work and where you come from, then we get to perform, which is the 4th stage, very crucial. The 5th stage is adjourning, which will usually happen at the end of whatever the task at hand is. Those are 4 important stages that every team should go through.
Right. Yeah. Why is it even important for companies to do it? Because, man, we have a schedule. there's a timeline to it. Things, we must hand in the budgets. There's no time to go and hang out and do all those activities. I've had an opportunity of doing, I think, team building for Stanbic Bank when it helped bring its like topmost clients, and I did some activities with them. But you could see that these guys would rather be in their offices cutting deals, not being, you know, with us wasting their time.
Well, let me correct you. It's not wasting actually time. Team building as an activity, or even if it's a retreat, like you said, like you did with Stanbic Bank, everybody needs that time to refresh and to rediscover themselves. Of course, at a point you will get to feel that I need to be closing this deal, I need to be, you know, like finalizing, for example, an assignment. But the best way you're going to do that effectively and to get the exact results, or even exceptional results, is if you're a fresh mind, is if you're really put your head into it. And the best way to do it is to take some time off, rediscover yourself, and re-strategize and reprioritize. Because many times you find people are doing the same thing the same way, and you find that they are just normal results. Yet they have the capacity and capability to get overwhelming and exceptional results.
And because we are answering as a team, look at it this way. Team building from the investor's perspective actually completes the investment cycle. I must tell you this. If you bought machinery, very expensive equipment that cost you, and you did not oil the joints, there's a risk that the whole, whatever you bought, the machinery, goes to waste. So team building is actually, it completes the investment cycle.
Team building is the oil.
It's the oil. I mean, you have done a lot of work in setting up the company. You have hired very skilled manpower. So you have all the firepower in-house. Now, what will carry you forward is the oil. It's the ability for the team to work together. Just like the machinery. It's a good piece of equipment. You have it there. But if the joints are not oiled, it might move, but there's a lot of friction and there's a lot of hard work. Now, for the organizations that have teams working together, that reflects in the earnings. Okay, so team building completes the investment cycle. You set up the corporation, you hire the skilled manpower. Their ability to work together will show even in the earnings.
Well, I guess that answers why some companies will refer to it as a waste of resources. It's a waste of money. Most of us employees want to go to expensive places, out of the office, take us to a 5-star hotel. It would be awesome to do that. What advice do you give such companies that look at it as, you know?
You know, at the end of the day, it's not really much about the expensive place or where you go. I think what really matters, or what really carries substance, is what you do when you're there. Because at the end of the day, yes, the company is spending money, but during that time, certain things need to be realized. For example, what's the organization about? What are their values? What are their core missions? What do they stand for? At the end, because if the employee can get that into his head, that I'm in this organization, not just part of it, but I am into it, I own it. You know, because once the employee gets to own the mission, trust me, that company will realize that what they spent on that team building activity was actually an investment, a long-term investment for growth. Because once someone walks into that organization and finds this cohesiveness of this team, they carry on with the same culture.
Brian, I saw the light. I saw the light. All right? I used to think team building was an expensive venture, money wasting, until we learned, okay, over time that, look, a lot of companies have heavy budgets to team building retreats. The usual has been retreats, to the point that it's been misconceived that when you talk about team building, they say, oh, going out to play games. From the team leader's perspective, the question should be, after the retreats, after spending that much, how do you sustain the cohesiveness that has been built from that retreat over time, all right? For productivity, you know, and for the well-being and the well-working of every team member involved. Now, once an organization can answer that, it will make even the retreats worthwhile. And that can be done through trainings. Team building is huge.
Yeah, because
Very
I was
fast.
going to ask you, okay, I have my small company, you know, I employ about 10 people. How can I execute this team building without feeling, you know,
the pinch?
The pinch.
Well, one of the ways is retreats, 2 is trainings, 3 there are further tools that one can use for team building. There's a tool we call Green Team. It's just one of those. Now the retreats build the cohesion. The trainings help sustain the cohesion. And when you're at a certain level where you've covered the basics, then it's very easy for you to add on the additional team building tools. The basics first, then we'll move on. Very affordable, Joel.
Right.
Team building experts can come to your company or organization, conduct the trainings, even at your premises. Once in a while, the team can go out. There are always ways to do it in a cost-effective manner and yet so productive.
Right. Yeah. The worst that companies can do for weak team members is to fire them. But without looking at that, how do you then deal with members that have failed to step up? Do you do more training for them? Do you get more supervisors? What do you do in such a case?
Well, Brian, the one fact is no one is weak entirely. You know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
I believe that people who are pinpointed as weak, it depends really on what their organization is expecting from them. You know, like the expectations of the organizations. That's when someone can either be considered strong or weak. But all in all, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, if you identify someone who is deemed weak, I really want to put it in quotes because there's no one weak. Because by the time that organization spotted you and
Who
hired
does
you,
not deliver according to the company objectives? Let's call it that.
Well,
if you've said there's no one that's weak.
Yeah.
Brian, first of all, hold them by the hand. In the process of holding them by the hand, you might discover an alternative strength that they have. Okay? And organizations can explore into that. We're saying that, look, in building a team, you need to have things such as a grace period. The first option should not be firing them. Human resource departments need to have an opening for self-discovery for their team.
But there's no time for that.
Well,
there's no time for that smart to self-discover someone. For us now, for example, in TV, we believe you either have it or you don't. Period. You won't discover for years. You either have it or you don't. But I was also going to ask you.
Yeah.
Is it part of team building, say working with there are people who are literally difficult to work with?
Yeah.
Is it part of team building? How do you handle such people?
Well, like I will say, difficult people are misunderstood people.
Okay.
I basically misunderstood people. Because you realize that this person will go in a different environment and he will thrive.
Yes.
He will thrive with the people there, and then he'll go to another place, and there will be people who do not understand him or her per se. So basically, sometimes I can give a scenario whereby this difficult person could even be your boss, you know, could be a superior. And then you're wondering, how am I supposed to get around this person? Well, one of the ways we have done as team building experts, one of the ways that we have identified that have really produced results, if this person happens to be a superior or a colleague that you're supposed to go through to get something done, do your work very well, you know? Be consistent in the way you approach them. Okay, you will go, they will frustrate you and all, but if you are consistent...
They will stall your work, they will not sign.
Exactly, and all that. But if you keep a track record of consistency with your part as being excellent, eventually you will get to where they are. I can use an acronym of the bridge, you know? When you are crossing a bridge for the first time, someone may not even be sure that it can hold their weight. Let's say the difficult person in quotes is on the other side of the bridge and you're here. How do you get them on your side? The only way you're going to get them on your side is if you walk to where they are, instead of calling them, pick them and come together. That is the easiest way.
Why don't we all walk and meet in the middle?
Well, they are difficult people, as you said, in quotes.
Right.
Yeah, so basically...
And they say the maturer one crosses. Now, earlier on, I did hint on the stages of team development. So some of the people that are deemed difficult, Probably this comes up because we missed some of the stages.
We missed
in
the
team.
norming.
Exactly. So you do not understand your team, your teammate, and you perceive that as difficult to work with.
Right.
So there needs to be an attempt to try and identify with them and where they're coming from.
I guess we assume and we go straight to adjourning. I got all those things.
Yeah.
Right? Adjourning is the last one.
Yeah.
So when we have the orientation, we go straight to adjourning.
And we miss
we miss the norming and the forming.
Exactly.
Companies that do not have huge budgets, but they want to do this, any inexpensive ideas that you can give for them, you know? Because training, I may need to still pay someone to come in and offer the skill, and I cannot afford that.
Well, we've done dancing.
Dancing?
Yes. I know corporate companies in town here that have spent a lot of money with their team in taking them to the gym. Well, that is very good.
Yeah.
Okay?
I know a company here that has a gym, sauna, steam bath in the facility. At lunchtime,
how much does that cost? You know, but we can dance. You can go out for picnics as a team. Once in a while, our head of department can give tickets out to the department. Go for this recreational activity out. Right. It's amazing how much change that will create.
Right.
In regard to the team goals and the tasks at hand.
Right.
So there are always ways. The trainings, some team building experts will come to your doorstep. They'll come to your company, train the team right from there, you know, at an agreed interval of time. It could be weekly, it could be fortnightly. We trained a company, and Brian, all it cost them was refreshments, you know, our little fee, you know.
Steve, you wrap this up. I was going to ask you, how have you guys helped, you know, companies get better?
Well, like you said, you know, when people hear the word team building, the first thing that runs people's mind is sports day activities, because that's what most companies do. You know, sports day, then they get an inspirational leader to come and talk. But what we are doing different, we are trying to look for those other ways that people actually enjoy during their, you know, their out of work time. And we are trying to tailor it into their workplaces.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what we are doing. And basically, one of the concepts that we are using is dance and cooking.
Nice.
Yeah. So
cooking.
Cooking.
Anything with food.
Yeah. So basically, that's the approach we are using. We are trying to make it simple, but again, get immense results.
Enjoyable.
Steve.
Yes, Brian.
Eddie.
Yes,
thank you guys for joining us this morning.
It's been a
We'll
pleasure.
definitely come back to you.
It's been an honor.
Next time, I wanted to go to the workplace itself, and we do something live, and while we are dancing this thing,
that would be awesome.
Cooking, and
we could dance now.
I think we could do cooking fast. Well, if you are a manager or a team player, like we always refer, you know, to ourselves, we can do anything. We can work under without extreme pressure. You might be thinking about taking your employees for some team building, and I hope you've learned something, especially the inexpensive ideas, how to execute them. We'll put up the contacts for these two gentlemen on our Facebook page, and you can contact them in case you need their services.
Thank you.
Well, Man City are champions, and you know, the word going around, you guys support Man City?
Manchester United.
Manchester United. We'll be talking sport when we come back. Isma will be telling us what happened over the weekend. Liverpool again missed. They are literally, definitely worse than Arsenal, I must confess. And is Man U going to come back in the next season? Well, stay with us. Definitely. Well, stay with us. We'll be talking about that when we come back. There are lots of Man United supporters here.
Yeah, lots of them.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am a Muyai?
It's absolutely true.
I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fascist code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
The average age of the entire national team is under 18.
The primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
The players haven't put on they haven't wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs. Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs,
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? That's a mega win!
Hello?
King Julian, you are truly inspiring.
Ow!
SpongeBob! Fantastic!
Who are the Inspector General of Police and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Deception.
I'm your wife. Can you listen to me?
You what?
Chris, I'm not going to get your wife.
Get up.
Chris, please. Chris, let me explain to you.
Out!
I don't think I'm ready for a relationship right now.
It's a risk I'm ready to take. Genda obbeeko Chris ekyapa ekyo.
Wangi?
Mubbeeko ekyapa okinkwase nja kukitereka. I would have really needed your help, but I think it's too late because I already gave her the documents.
Evelyn, where are the documents?
I gave them to Chris's lawyer.
What?
Deception.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
15 on to 9, and we're still here. Finally, the rain is kind of stopping. And you can join us on our Facebook platform, Morning at NTV. You can also go to Twitter at Morning at NTV. Follow Isma, Daka Bachigongo, and Mabel at Mebkeb. You can also tag me at MB Gold 2. Talking sport this morning. Good morning, guys. How's your weekend?
Hectic, I've got to say, but fantastic.
You look very tired.
Yeah, it's been a very exhaustive weekend from, I think, right from when I left this place on Friday. I've had to be in so many places just to keep up with sports. Yeah, there's so many things that I had to do at the same time, including having to attend a game between Indeja and UCU in basketball last evening after the end of the Premier League. It's that kind of life. Then get home and watch OKC Clippers from 10:30 p.m. and then be up early and make sure if I missed any highlights, for example, Indiana, Washington Wizards in the other semi-final in the Eastern Conference. So it's that kind of thing. It's that hectic, but it's passion. I want to preach sound sport now.
The pastor is Pastor Daka.
I want to preach sound sport.
Hallelujah. Yeah. Mabel, how's your weekend?
My weekend was great.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm busy, also running up and down. I was here on Saturday for NTV at 1.
Okay.
So every once in a while you may get to see me over the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. My weekend was awesome. Had a very fantastic Mother's Day with one of my son, not my mother. So, yeah.
You know Morris, the other day, Morris Mugisha, in the Observer, they asked him a question, I think, between his wife and his mother, and he chose his wife. And then they said, oh, so why have you chosen your wife? And then he said, well, my mother can easily forgive me. She said something to that effect.
I think so. I'll do the same.
Yeah.
Are we women that bad? That
for a man leaves his home, goes and joins, you know. So the moment you leave Potea, your family
you say, Mommy, I'm sorry, but
when they say the woman is the head and then the woman is the neck, that turns the head.
Yeah. Well, happy Mother's Day to all of you that celebrated it, to the mothers that got gifts. Oh, good for you. And for me, this weekend, I had, was a highlight of a story of a mother who, I'm not at liberty to share it with you guys, but definitely inspired me. And yeah, power to the woman. It's the sport.
Power to sport.
Yeah, power to sport. Oilers beating Power. Just 2 points.
Yeah.
What happened, man?
I thought it was
the buzz around it definitely was there.
Yeah, the buzz was that huge, but eventually I don't think the quality of the game for me lived up to it, because I don't think City Oil played well while they won the game, 82-81, thanks to James Okello's free throw with about 2 seconds to play. And thereafter, Power had the timeout and they failed to score within those 2 seconds. I thought, first of all, I want to say only 2 things about the game. One, I was very pleased with the way Power played. Even if Bani Sankonda probably should have taken off Philip Amenya and Abdullahi Ramadan and rested them quite a bit. I was very pleased because I thought the entire team was into it. Norman Blick with 19, Isaac Afidwa with 15. I think as a collection, the entire team, it seemed to be working on something, because they have so many new players who are just coming together for the very first time. So I thought that worked for them. And then for City Oil, they seem to have not yet figured it out quite well. Where do they play Ben Komakech particularly? I thought had a poor night. I thought they are missing a bit of Jimmy Nabu. He's out injured because he broke his toe about 2-3 weeks ago. So that's also bothering them quite a bit. But eventually, I think for everyone who came, the margin being just 2 points, is just being 1 point, by the way, 82-81 is exactly what you expected from the biggest game. By the time I left YMC on Friday, I knew these 2 teams will make the final. I could almost bet my pinky finger on that. Wow. These 2 teams will make the final.
They should meet in the final.
In the final, yeah.
Wow.
Well, the Uganda Cranes are back to practicing after missing the first day. Anything exciting to report?
Last week there was that story about Nambole and Cranes, and they couldn't train there on Wednesday. Actually, the training was pushed by 1 day, and actually they've had to train at different venues through the weekend as they were sorting out their deals with Nambole. They have trained in Lugazi, they've trained in Lugogo, they've trained in Nachivu, and actually for explaining that they are doing this to popularize the team beyond just Nambole. But I know this morning, as we leave the show, the team will return to Nambole and start training there. But as they do that, remember we're telling you about the players who will be missing because of engagements here and there. Now the absentees continue. Geoffrey Massa is out, got injured while playing for his team, Pretoria University Tax, where he scored the winning goal in their final game of the season in South Africa. Dennis Onyango is also out injured. Now that means that Eunice Setam will come in as a striker So there are going to be a lot of changes. I remember telling you about Robert Odonkala last week. I was going to be playing for St. George. Tony Maweja won't make the trip. But I think over the next 1-2 days, between today and tomorrow, most of the players who are playing outside Uganda will arrive for the game. And then thereafter, by Wednesday, we should be able to know what the squad that Mitchell has looks like before they travel to Madagascar later in the week. So it's been a very busy weekend, I think, for people involved with the team, just to make sure that everyone is here and ready for the game.
Well, let's pray for our national team. I mean, we're tired of doing the maths all the time. Hope that this time we actually go to the African Cup. Talking basketball, MVP Kevin Durant scoring 40, but his team didn't win. They just squandered the game?
I think they did. They started the game with a 29-7 run because the OKC were that good at the start of the game. But in NBA, 22 points isn't that big. And actually, at some point, the Clippers had pulled this back into about 16 points. But Durant's 40 points, probably, he could have scored most of those in the second half because I think he scored 18 of them in the first half. And towards the end of the game, the Clippers didn't lead until I remember with 1 minute and 28 seconds to play. They were playing catch-up throughout. Yeah. But then they eventually had enough to gun in the game by 101-99. And sometimes you want to look for something different from the usual guys. It isn't Blake Griffin won the game. It isn't Chris Paul won the game. It's Nick Collison. He's not even anywhere among the players we'll be looking out for when you think about the Clippers game winners. But scored 8 of his 18 points in the fourth quarter, and the Clippers survived because had they gone 3 games down, they would probably have no chance because now it's tied at 2-2 in that semi-final. While the San Antonio Spurs are doing their business against the Portland Trail Blazers. They should win their 4th game this morning and sweep this. Okay, this morning, which I mean Tuesday morning. They should win that easily and sweep that and get into the Western Conference Final. So I was pleased for the Clippers that they came back in this because had they gone 3-1 down, with Game 5 being played in Oklahoma, they would have no chance. They would have no chance of going through.
Well, moving on to Formula 1, Lewis Hamilton, a good-looking guy, I need to add. Was this his most dominant race after winning, do you think?
I want to think so, because he was barely challenged until about the final 6 laps of the race, and that was because his teammate Nico Rosberg gave that car quite a step towards the end. And Lewis Hamilton, this was very important for him to win because he needed to go top of his standings while he's been winning races.
I actually watched that.
While he's been winning races, he's not yet gone top of his standings until yesterday in Barcelona. And that was
like 4 in a row, something, or 3 in a row?
Yeah, now it's 4 in a row. On top. He's now on top. But I think it helps to have the best car because over the 4 races, it's only been the Mercedes. They've been the only 2 competitive cars. And actually, I remember before the race, Fernando Alonso, the 2-time world champion from several years ago with Renault, now driving for Ferrari, said that one of the problems for Formula 1 now that they have to deal with that there are only going to be 2 drivers who will win the entire season because they think that Mercedes is very good. Remember,
that's why I think the game is unfair. They should all have the same cars.
Then it's impossible. And you know, the human being is very selfish, and you're selfish for seeing the competition. But I remember last year, I was very mad when Lewis Hamilton came out and said that he thinks Formula 1 was boring because Sebastian Vettel was winning every other week. And actually said that when you wake up on your Sunday and see on the television, after 10 laps, you leave and go and do something else. Aren't we bored now? I'm not bored. I like seeing dominant drivers. Yeah. Like in the 30s, I was reading a story that in the 1930s and 50s, Mercedes, the team that Hamilton is driving for, would go and win probably 80% of the races in the season. People came and watched the race. When Schumacher was dominant, I loved watching Schumacher. Probably I loved even more seeing him getting beaten. Now, the same thing when Hamilton said that last year, that it is boring when Vettel is winning. Now, shouldn't he say that about himself?
It's boring when he's winning.
It's boring when it's winning. So I shouldn't be bored. I'm enjoying Formula 1 because Hamilton is probably one of the best 2-3 drivers on that grid. Right. And to see him this competitive again, several years after he won his first champion with McLaren, I'd love to see him win a second, probably a third. So, and he's been that dominant this one. Despite failing to finish in Australia, he's gone on and responded by winning 4 in a row. And this was as good a race as he's won this season.
Right. Well, it might have to be Man City. There was no miracle for Liverpool. Tell us about the fate. Now, quickly, the top 6. What happens to the other teams? You can go up to Man United.
That's we're doing a big thing. First of all, I think, like you say, it had to be Man City. Liverpool needed that miracle. It wasn't going to come. And actually, it could have been worse because Liverpool went a goal down when Newcastle scored through Martin Scatto's own goal. And on the other side, Man City had taken the lead through Sami Nasri. And eventually had a second through their captain, Vincent Kompany. Then Liverpool pulled this back and won their game by 2-1. Daniel Agg and Daniel Sturridge scoring the goals. I think they had needed something more than that. They needed West Ham to go and win at the Etihad, which I said was not going to happen. Yeah. Because Man City have only lost once at home in their last 78. and Liverpool had to win their game, which they did eventually. But I think you look at the top 6. One, Man City. They've only been top of the league for 14 days through the entire season. 14 days.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable that they are champions.
Unbelievable.
So it's got to be something about the class when they needed the points, especially towards the end of the season. I think the 2 games that Liverpool didn't win against Chelsea and Crystal Palace, would they look back as the moments when they lost the Premiership. But then over the entire season, Liverpool should look back on one thing. I think defensively they haven't been good enough. They have the
considered 50 goals.
They have the 9th best defense in the league. That is not good enough. I don't remember a team that has won the champion. You know, attack wins games, defense wins championships. That's the bottom line of sport. You have the better defense in any sport, you'll win championships. You can win a game with your attack, and that's what probably Liverpool have done. They've scored over 100 goals. You move on to Chelsea, who finished 3rd. Probably a forgettable season. Mourinho didn't win them anything. Really, that does...
The power of the tongue.
Yeah.
The power of the tongue.
That doesn't happen at Chelsea so often. And actually...
He said they're not going to win, and they didn't win.
Yeah, so probably Karma. Karma is a very bad woman. So you've got to think that Chelsea, for everything they've done this season, it hasn't been so bad for me. Because, okay, I went for them to win the league. They eventually didn't. But all the things that probably they lost this in the press conference that Mourinho had over the season. Every time he said they can't win, attacked Eden Hazard, attacked his striker throughout the season. That is Victoria's Eto'o and
how old? 36 or maybe 38?
38, and Eto'o was mocking him right there. For Arsenal, finished 4th. Another season for them in 4th place. 18 successive years now, Arsene Wenger.
Commendable.
Quite commendable, and I sit between 2 Arsenal fans every morning, and I know. I think Arsenal fans will be very disappointed because they thought they could go now.
Didn't they lead almost longest?
Yeah, we led for 4 months, right?
Yeah, no. They are the longest still at the top of the league. 4 months, and now they couldn't win the league. So.
Well, there's nothing we could do. A couple of comments here I totally love. Emmanuel Cruz is with some artwork in the United Arab Emirates saying, "We love you guys so much. Thank you for servicing."
I saw that earlier.
Yeah, like if this is happening, Odanki, good job.
Can we go there and shoot
live?
Can
we do live in Dubai and Abu Dhabi? This is beautiful.
If we went to do morning at NTV in Abu Dhabi, I'd love to do it at the Yas Marina circuit, the Formula 1 circuit. It's brilliant. When they light it up at the night, in the red and blue, it's amazing to see on television.
Oh, management should be thinking about it. Tomorrow you'll be telling us about Real Madrid, because then again, no one wants to win the title. It has to come down to the final game.
Yeah.
What's happening in Spain?
First of all, shortly, Real Madrid are out of it because they got beat at Celta Vigo. But now the title will be decided as a cup final. Neither Barcelona or Atletico Madrid won. Atletico drew 1-1 with Malaga, thanks to a very brilliant save from Willy Caballero right at the end of the game, the Malaga goalkeeper. And then Barcelona just couldn't win. They were at Elche and they failed to score. The game ending goalless. Elche know how to collect their draws. I actually remember telling a Barcelona fan before the game that Elche love their draws. They're just like West Bromwich Albion. West Brom have drawn almost half of their games in the season, and Elche do the same. So the game is going to come down to a cup final next weekend.
Right.
Barcelona at home to Atletico. Atletico need a draw. Barcelona need to win the game to win the league.
Decider.
And actually, one of the things that one of the biggest disappointments in Europe, if it is to happen, would be Barcelona. If there is a team that doesn't deserve to win the league, it's Barcelona. They have not played well. They've barely been competitive. They've not won the points that they should win. But look at it. Tata Martino has been berated and abused by everyone as a very poor manager. He's been voted as the worst dressed manager in Europe because he doesn't wear the fancy suits. He doesn't look like Guardiola or Mourinho at all. Yeah. He's much older. He looks like football on his face. He doesn't look like anything like that. But look at it this way. They go to the Camp Nou, they beat Atletico, and Barcelona champions. I told you Karma is a bad woman.
Let's wait. Yeah, someone said Karma is a star question mark. But let's wait and see what happens in Spain, and I will be letting you know. Before we head out, as usual, your African proverb. This proverb is quite I think Joel would say it's quite discombobulating. So Sudanese proverb that said, do not call to a dog with a whip in your hand. Wow. You look flummoxed.
I am flummoxed. You know, so you have the whip and you're calling the dog.
It may not come.
It may not come because
it won't come because it's already, you have something that is a tool for punishment. You're already intimidating it, and it won't be that friendly. Man's best friend. What the dog really still man's best friend?
No.
When the world has
definitely
evolved.
not my best friend.
What, is it cat?
None.
Man's best friend these days for many people is their smartphones. Don't know anything of it.
Does that translate even in our own, relationships? I can't be warm to you if you are. If the first time I see you, you are either a bully or you're rude.
Rude, yeah, I think so. Yeah, probably that's right for the dog, because the dog is a friend of man. When man has something to give, probably when there is nothing to give, if it's just the stick and you're going to hit it, it will run away. But in my neighborhood, there is quite a there's a dog that barks at anything. If you're walking and you're not realized it, you probably need to carry that stick before you're going.
Well, at that point in Tumina right now, but I don't like dogs. I'm not a dog person. Well, it's been an honor. It's been a very cold morning, and some of us may be going to our beds. But for the rest of you that are continuing with your work, have a fantastic day, and continue the discussion on Facebook, Twitter, and the SMS platform that is 6565. We'll catch you tomorrow. Morning show continues with the Soul Moment. Bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
NTV, turning on your world.
She was molested when she was 6 by someone she trusted.
The doctors finally walked into the door. They basically were telling me that she had a 5% chance of living.
I couldn't understand how somebody that tells you they loved you, that held you as a child, could abuse you.
Tommy Scott grew up among gang violence, drugs, and poverty in the projects of South Central Los Angeles.
I felt not normal, not good. I wasn't lovable.
As a teen, Melissa discovered that drinking gave some relief.
Tommy is free today and continues to tell people that it was Jesus who changed his life.
The time I spent in prison, I spent putting my ideas together on, how I was going to come back and make it all right.
And I realized my purpose, that I was created to reflect the glory of God.
Duke now realizes why God kept him alive.
These were real people facing desperate situations, just like you and me.
Jesus died to set you free, and he can give you a new heart.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Destiny River.
51% of the shares. From now on.
51%. I must say, I'll take it. But I guarantee you, I'll pay you every penny.
And I'm also pretty sure about that.
Simply because you want that.
You are my sister, okay? But that doesn't give you the right to come here and say that to me. It's a bunch of nonsense what you're saying, especially that I don't love Fred. You're just interested in his wealth.
Destiny River.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *16.
Desire. Chitange bwesiba nawe pulira bubi muli kyemva nkusaba bwenkunyiza onsasirengako ebyensiwe biba bimpamba nkusaba tonegana obulamu mbuwaddeyo gy'oli lubeerera kati ninga ekimuli mu ddungu mpotoka nzigwawo ntaase bikemo kubanga olwaleero newatiyo mu mikono gyo ng'ompambatira olifune emirembe olwaleero newatiyo mu mikono gyo njagala mbeere mu mikono gyo munnange mukwano tondekawo abalabe okuntwala onkuume ntambula naawe nga siwanjagadde ebikamo ku nsi bingi siitye nga woli n'abatanjagaliza bo bangi mbakukwasiza mbeera nemereddwa buli kimu otali mukwano ntaase bikemo mpambatira olifune emirembe olwaleero newatiyo mu mikono gyo njagala mbeere mu mikono gyo munnange tata mukama ebikamo n'ebizibu tata mbitya nnyo laba entwadde n'abafudde nze nekwekewa mikono gyo mukama tata kubanga olwaleero ng'ompambatira olifune emirembe olwaleero newatiyo mu mikono gyo njagala mbeere mu mikono gyo Obulamu nga bulinga ebipapatyo yegwe wano
Killer D'Angelo. Put the man in a gospel feeling. So what?
Ulichoyagala ebizibu byo ulichoyagala nange kyenjagala ebizibu byange kyenjagala nange ne bwe buba bulwadde ng'ensimbi zibuze bagezi mu kibiina kyolina okola bambi kiri kimu
Okera kuma kya Mukama n'omukonkona n'omuliramu ebizibu by'oyitamu yetegese Mukama okukuyamba kye bamuyimira muzinira onono
ulichoyagala ebizibu byo ulichoyagala nange kyenjagala ebizibu byange kyenjagala nange natambula nga noonya emirembe D'Angelo nga sigirabako naye bazibwe Mukama nannyini ggulu yandaga Dr. Elijah yaŋŋumya yaŋŋamba sembera wano nantuuza nambulira ekigambo kye kyanyamba ne ndokokera nange nzijukira nti yagamba
okera kuma kya Mukama n'omukonkona n'omuliramu ebizibu by'oyitamu yetegese Mukama okukuyamba kye bamuyimira muzinira onono
ulichoyagala ebizibu byo ulichoyagala nange kyenjagala ebizibu byange kyenjagala nange nonyeza omwana tomulabako mungo zinywedde naye biganye mbuzi y'ennungi gye wali olina musamize yagirya notafuna
Tell your mama sister back to me redeemer. Tell your papa brother back to me redeemer. They should have known that him king and savior. That's why the rock land sings oh yo yes. I think about me Ghana. Me feel so nice in Ghana, Ghana. Everybody know that. Mubuna mubwange nkule mbezo yo. Sirina mudana. Onana.
ulichoyagala
Abituna di.
ebizibu byo ulichoyagala
Akul wange nzidi. D'Angelo. Dennis Makala. Padaman.
ebizibu byange kyenjagala nange
You should like this, you know, because this is a good one. See? God bless you, all of you. Yeah. Zaga, 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 zaga. Fire blessing with the Babylon. Sing. Dennis Rockler. I'm out.
NTV, turning on your world.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to